What's up everybody, and welcome to the channel. In today's video, we're going to take a look at this brand new Toyota Corolla. Big shout out and thank you to Flo Toyota of Statesville for providing this new Corolla for today's video. Check out their website, link down below. And the model that we're looking at today is an LE, finished off in Celestite, and has an MSRP at $23,000. Underneath the hood of this brand new Toyota Corolla, you're going to find a 1.8 liter naturally aspirated 4-cylinder engine. It pumps out 169 horsepower with 151 pound-feet of torque, and it's paired to a continuous variable transmission, sending all the power to the front wheels. Curb weight is around 3,000 pounds, and it runs on a 13.2 gallon fuel tank, so you're looking at 30 miles per gallon in the city with 38 out on the highway. Overall length is 182.5 inches with a wheelbase at 106.3. Height is 56.5 and width is 70.1 inches. Ground clearance is also 5.3 inches. And then now moving on to the exterior styling with the new Toyota Corolla. The paint color is really cool. It's kind of a steel blue color, has some really sharp lines all throughout the bodywork. These headlights are really massive. I love how they're blacked out for the housings. You can also see the daytime running lights. They have a pretty neat design as well. You can see some sharp contours all underneath them going down towards the bottom. Then you get a small trim piece in the farther side with a little winglet. You can see some nice black trim surrounding this massive grille, and I like how you get some massive grille openings all throughout this mesh. I think Toyota did a really good job making this entry-level budget sedan nice and sporty looking. You can see some trim in the upper portion of the bumper to add to that cool style, and it really is pretty sharp all the way around. There are some sharp lines in the hood as well, fading their way towards the windshield, and it really comes together to make it look like a muscular, bold, little compact. Moving our way to the side profile, this spec has some steel wheels with some plastic wheel caps, giving it a nice sporty vibe. Then you can see some sharp lines around the wheel and a sharp line in the lower portion of the side of the car. We get black trim surrounding the windows along with blacked out B and C pillars. And then for the overall side profile, you can tell this is a pretty compact car. However, the hood has some length to it to make it not feel so stubby. Then the back end comes together nicely. There's a really sharp line that goes above the rear fenders to really help give it some width. And then you can see a nice set of halogen taillights. I like the red as well as the clear, and then they're connected with a black trim piece. You can see Corolla on the far left, Toyota badge in the center with your LE logo, and then more of this black trim surrounding the bumper. You can see some body colored in the lower side, reflectors on the farthest, and it really comes together nicely. So there's a good look at the exterior with the new Toyota Corolla. Not a bad looking economy car. It has some nice sharp lines, which I really like. You can kind of see some of the inspiration that's in the GR Corolla, which is of course a pretty cool sporty little car. We have Toyota's key fob, pretty basic. Toyota badge on one side and your buttons on the other. Going ahead and unlocking it, I can just grab the door handle and we can check out this interior. This Corolla gets a pretty cool looking 3-tone interior with fabric along the seats and then all sorts of different color combinations. You can see this lighter gray up top finished in plastic with a matching release handle, and then we got black plastic down below that for your grab handle, all of your window and mirror controls and lock and unlock, and then a dark gray fabric piece for your armrest. You can see some storage down below. Manual controls are on the side of the seat as well as the bar in the front. Then you can see the lighter beige for this fabric material in the bottom of the seats, some cool stitching to it, and then a 2-tone dark gray with a really nice stitching design in the backrest going all the way up towards the headrests. You can also see the black steering wheel finished in a rubber material with all black trim. And then now inside the Toyota Camry, taking the fob, we can just flip the key out and insert it into the ignition and then fire up the little 4-cylinder. Everything comes to life. You can see the needle sweep. We got a small screen and then the infotainment screen. Taking a look at the gauge cluster, we have the speedometer right front and center with your fuel, and then tach and engine temperature on the left. The small screen over on the right side is controllable using this panel on the left side of the steering wheel. So if we take a look right now, we get a digital speed readout along with a few other things of information. I can scroll up and down and see your average MPG, and then a few more things. Scrolling left and right, we can see some safety information. We also get information as well as different settings for all these safety features that are inside this vehicle, and then all the way into the messages. So pretty nice how you get a little bit of information in the car. You also have a few more Bluetooth and audio controls on the left, and then cruise control settings on the right. We have lane keeping as well as your forward distance pacing. Then you can see your stalk on the right for windshield wipers, and then turn signal and headlights on the left. We have the automatic high beam icon as well as the interior dimming, and some of this gray trim with black along the top portion of the dash. You can see a cool silver trim piece around the air vent, and then more of this light gray. You can kind of see how it fades into the door panel. Then we get the infotainment screen up top, which is pretty familiar, just like all other Toyotas. You have 3 different views in the center that you can configure and kind of go into different setups. We have your home screen as well. Going into menu, you can have different apps on the car if they're equipped. Then you can also see audio and phone, as well as icons for all the setup. We have audio and a map shortcut if it's installed. And then a few more settings over on the right side. And then we get volume and power on the left, along with tuning and scrolling on the right, and 2 air vents underneath that. All of your climate controls are underneath that, and you get a small LCD screen, and I like how easy it is to toggle the buttons for all the different modes. You have the recirc, AC, you can see your fan speed dials on the far right, the temperature on the left, and we have a few more controls. Underneath that, we have a lot of space in here, and a nice area to put a phone or 2. Then we have some more of this light trim, silver and black. We have all your different drive modes down to drive. The B is for some engine braking. Then you have your shifter. You go ahead and put it into reverse, get a backup camera that will pop up, and then traction control is in front of the shifter. We also have the park and brake as well as the brake hold, and then 2 cup holders behind that with some piano black trim. Then we have a nice dark fabric material on the armrest. We can open this up. We get a little bit of space in here with USB ports. And then on the far right side, we have a pretty good sized glove box. You can also tell how much legroom there is. The dash kind of cuts forward, which is pretty unique. And then one last look at the interior. The new Corolla is pretty good looking. It's pretty sporty in here. Nothing too crazy fancy. However, for being more of a base model, this LE has a pretty good layout. And then up top, we get all of your dome lights and then the sun visors. And then moving to the back seat space, if I grab the door handle and open it up, the door panel is finished off just like we see up front with the 3 different colors. And then the back seats are finished in that light beige along with the dark in the centers. This can seat 3 people, and you can grab the center and you get an armrest as well as 2 cup holders. And then if we get this out of the way, we do get a little bit of storage up in front. All right, so hopping in the back seat of the Toyota Corolla. So at 5'11", I'm actually fitting here pretty comfortably. It's noticeably smaller than a Camry. However, I still have like an inch of headroom. Driver's seat at my height, I have about 2 inches of knee room, and my feet do fit fine. There's no reclining or anything, but you can actually be back here for a decent amount of time. Pretty big window. This is kind of near my face, so definitely feels tighter than the Camry. However, you have a lot of glass to make it feel open, the grab handles, and the dome light. So for being Toyota's compact car, 2 people absolutely can be comfortable. The 3rd person is gonna be a little bit of a pinch, but not too bad for being a small car. Moving on to the trunk storage space, you can just tap the button on the key fob. It'll pop open, and then we can just manually assist it the rest of the way. We get a really large trunk in here, especially for being a compact. I think Toyota did a great job giving you a giant trunk for such a small car. Then you can even take the seats and manually folding them down from the inside. You can see just how much more cargo area you're gonna get. They fold down nice and flat. We get a lot of space up in front and a decent sized opening entering into the trunk. All right, so setting off now in the Toyota Corolla. I don't think I've ever driven one of these, so it'll be cool to see what their entry-level car has to offer. You can opt for a bigger 4-cylinder as well as the hybrid, and then of course the GR, which is a pretty fun sporty turbo. So this one getting up to speed in the normal drive. You know, giving it half throttle, it gets up to speed for sure. Certainly doesn't sound like anything too special. It is, you know, a budget economy car at the end of the day. However, it gets up to speed without redlining, without straining the engine much. So it's nice that it's at least adequately powered even in the slowest form to where you can get up to speed and get good gas mileage and just drive around like a normal little car. Normal driving in it, it's actually pretty comfortable. These seats have some good padding. You know, not the most comfortable seats in the world, but honestly, they support me nicely. I don't think I would have an issue long term. Materials are decent in here. Everything is just normal plastic. I like how it is a soft touch at least, so it does feel a little bit more premium. This one is nice and hard, which is why your knee can smack that if you're not carefully. But, you know, this one over here is a little bit softer. Door panel is hard as well. So decent interior, I would say, you know, rubber on the steering wheel. But you have a really good view out. The windshield is pretty large, and you have a lot of glass all on the side, especially those little windows. That really helps out a lot. Steering is super effortless, really, really lightweight. and pretty good visibility. I wish those backrests, or the headrest back there, I wish they folded down. I think that would have made it a little bit better. However, it's not too bad, at least just looking around. Getting up to some speed again. You can feel it, I'd say maybe struggle a little bit first getting up to speed, especially on a small little hill. So it's definitely not anything performance focused or really anything that is going to blow your socks off. Driving it in the B down here is really cool for the engine braking. It basically is for if you're in the mountains or something, that way you're not just riding the brake the whole time down the hill. It's going to use the engine as a little bit of resistance. So if I get up to some speed, the transmission is basically going to hold a little bit higher RPM. And when I let off the gas, the RPMs are still at 3,000, kind of holding me back a little bit. Going into drive, it goes down a lot lower, and it's more like you're coasting in neutral. So it's nice they give you that. Basically, it's like a low range gear. That way, if you are doing anything in the mountains, you can have that instead of just coasting and just riding your brakes. So normal driving, not too bad in the car. It seems decently comfortable. Suspension's nice and soft. It's a little noisy. On the smooth road, it's nice, but once you get on a more bumpy road, it gets a little bit more noisy. But then getting into a parking lot, turning circle is nice and tight, and you can zip it around town for sure. So not a bad option for just the normal day-to-day driving. So now on to my perspective, honest thoughts of driving in the Toyota Corolla. It really is just a nice average car. There's nothing crazy special about it. It's nothing too exciting. This is your typical basic budget car, but being a Toyota, we know it's a rock solid, reliable car. You know, there's no loose ends to it. It's a car that you can depend on. You know, you can get really good gas mileage, and it's roomy enough. 2 people, honestly, in the front seat, no big deal. And then sitting in the back seat, it's decently comfortable if you have to throw 2 people back there. 3 people would be a little cramped. You know, the Camry is going to be a better size if you actually have to fit 3 people in there more than once. But this one is a decent way to go. The LE, kind of a basic trim level, but for even being a basic trim level, it still feels like a quality car. And I like how with Toyota, you know they're a rock solid, built really reliable car company, and everything they make is going to last you for a couple 100,000 miles. When you drive other cars that have budget cars like this that might just be a tad cheaper than this, they're going to be cheaper for a reason. And I like how with Toyota, you can tell you're in something that is a good product at the end of the day. As far as the extra above and beyond things with this trim level, not too much. Basic cloth, a lot of hard plastics, so it's nothing fancy. But if you spec this up to a higher trim level, it gets a little bit nicer. And then the GR Corolla, of course, is really sporty, fast, fun, all that good stuff. So this one's just your good entry level, normal basic car, good gas mileage, and is a point A to point B kind of car. I don't really have any gripes with it. Obviously, it's not my kind of car, but as far as just a normal cheap car, this is probably one of the best ways to go just because you know you have the dependability on your side. Only gripe is really this corner piece. My knee smacked that the first time I hopped in this, and it's a really hard plastic. So if you are on the taller side, this might feel a little cramped. Nearly 6 feet tall, and I would say I'm about as big as I would want to be in this car because it can show its size. It's on that cramped size. But other than that, though, I mean, it's a nice normal car. And I like how even with the slower engine and the CVT transmission, it gets up to speed nicely. It's peppy enough. You can feel if you're going uphill, it's a little sluggish, but once you get up to about 20 miles an hour, the weight of it kind of carries better and it's not too bad. So yeah, that is the new Toyota Corolla. Not a bad option if you're looking for just a good, basic, reliable car, point A to point B. This is certainly the way to go. If you guys enjoyed today's video, be sure to give it a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button. Stay tuned for plenty more content to come. And then big shout out and thank you once again to Flo Toyota of Statesville for providing this new Corolla for today's video. That is it, guys. I will see you in the next video.